It has done well for the past 8-10 years. That this sector will continue to do good. It is the mandatory requirement for every citizen of India that cleaner water and then clean rivers, it should be available.
Enviro Infra Engineers Limited is a 4,200 crore rupee market cap company engaged in the designing, construction and operation of water and wastewater treatment plants. The first generation founded the business in 1991, while the second generation, which joined in 1996, scaled it from a modest 50 lakh rupees top line to an impressive 1,066 crore rupees. The company stands out as a strong player in India's fast-growing environmental infrastructure space. Today, we discuss the supply chain of water infrastructure projects, company's future growth, numbers, and if water as a sector will receive as much focus as defense or railways.
Water is a scarce commodity and water has to be made available to each and every citizen of India. So basically when we calculate based on these order books and the orders that we do have in our hands, we can work out that growth rate of 35 to 40 odd percentage that is possible. So we look forward to a revenue recognition or a top line to the range of around 1450 to 1500 odd crores in the current financial year for FY26.
I've heard that effluent treatment is more margin lucrative because it's very complex compared to the municipal wastewater treatment projects. So why is that your order book is predominantly the wastewater treatment EPC rather than like an effluent treatment EPC? When I look at your company and compare it with the others, there is EMS, there is Wabat Tech. How is it that your margins are consistently higher despite you not owning any technology? Firstly, I wanted to understand more about what the water sector is. So water is a very upcoming theme in India. Unlike defense, renewable, green energy, it's a sector that I personally believe government has not given due focus yet. So it's important to understand what companies like yours do, okay, and which segments you guys operate in. For what I understand, there are different segments in water, whether it is converting the seawater to potable water, desalination, wastewater treatment. Then there's something called ZLD, which is zero liquid discharge. So what are the different areas of water that you deal in?
Good afternoon and thanks for having me. First of all, this water as an industry can be divided into two specific segments. It is water treatment and then it is wastewater treatment. The potable water, wherein the water is drawn from the river, then treated and then supplied. So it is a water treatment plant or disassociated infra inclusive that says it is a water supply scheme. The other part is sewage treatment plant wherein the domestic waste that is treated and then it can be disposed of as per the norms, pollution control board norms, or it can be reused in any of the industry non-potable purposes based on the requirement or the specific requirement for which it is to be used. The second part is industrial wastewater treatment, wherein the water which is being used in the industrial processes, so that water it is treated. So this is an effluent treatment plant, and when we say for a industrial cluster or an industrial area, so that is a common effluent treatment plant. So in a common effluent treatment plant, now for the reuse of this wastewater, the mandated guidelines from the NGT, it is ZLDs, which is zero liquid discharge. So entire water is to be treated at a level so that that water can be reused in the processes, and then there can be a concentrated stream which cannot be disposed of, and then this concentrated stream requires to be evaporated and the salts are to be recovered. So that is basically ZLD segment. The next part, which is desalination basically again is potable water to be recovered from the sea water. So it is again a RO process. So desalination is basically converting sea water into usable by reducing the TDS levels which is required. So this is the basic industry. And then in the sewage treatment plant as well, there was a part when the water, this sewage that was to be treated up to the discharge norms. Then with the scarcity of water, the requirement is there to treat this wastewater to a level so that it can again be used in the industrial processes or maybe horticulture, so that requirement may be then tertiary treatment or ultrafiltration. So which level of treatment is required, based on that, that is customized and that is added to the processes.
Okay, okay. So in these segments that you explained, what are the areas that you are dealing in, and what is it that you exactly do in these areas?
Basically, if I say on this water and wastewater treatment, apart from this desalination, for which we have not yet moved, apart from that, all other water treatment plants, water supply schemes, then sewage treatment plant, reuse of this wastewater from the sewage treatment plant, common effluent treatment plants, and ZLD now. So we are available in all these sectors.
Understood, understood. So how do you involve in that segment? Meaning, is it that the government gives you the project and you just have to set up the entire plant? Like it can be government, can be municipal corporations, it can be state governments, or is it that you develop some technology which is then being used by companies setting up these plants?
Basically, we are EPC players for these various water and wastewater schemes or treatment plants which are invited from any of the state government agencies. These projects are basically some either a centrally funded or centrally sponsored scheme, or maybe the states are moving with multilateral banks, multilateral agencies for the funding of these type of projects. So basically, when I say wastewater treatment first, so in a wastewater treatment, the level of sewage treatment plant that we look forward to, it is basically a city level sewage treatment plant. So basically, this level of project that will come from any of the state government departments. Again, when I move to industrial segment, which is a common effluent treatment plant, so basically, as our company is moving, so we are not interested in individual industrial ETPs. Rather, we focus on the common effluent treatment plants for the industrial areas. So if I am looking for a common effluent treatment plant for industrial area, so basically that industrial area is under a industrial development corporation, which again is a government body. So ultimately, we are bidding for these projects. The tenders are being invited, and then we are bidding. So the order book predominantly remains from the government sector itself.
Understood, understood, understood. And it's very early for the private companies to actually start the effluent treatment, you think? Private companies.
Private companies, definitely they are required if they are not in any of the specific industrial area or a notified industrial area. So all the industries are mandated to have their own plants, and if they are in an industrial area, still they are required to discharge at a means for the common discharge levels in that industrial area. They are required to treat up to that level, and then they can discharge, so, and which will be taken to a common premises, and then it will be treated. So it is mandatory for all the industries individually as well.
So then you talk about a lot of segments. Your order book is around 2,000, 2,500 crores, and you got a bit of HAM, and you got a bit of EPC. Then you have there's something that you're operating and you're getting revenue from that. So can you tell me, in this 2,000 odd crores order book that you have, what are the different segments? What is the percentage?
As on 1st of July, the total order book of the company is somewhere around 3,000 odd crores. Out of this 3,000 odd crores, approx 2,000 odd crore is the execution order book, and somewhere around 1,000 crore is the operation and maintenance order book, which spans for a period of around 5 to 15 years. So out of this 2,000 odd crores, it is EPC of wastewater treatment plants, HAM, common effluent treatment plants, ZLD, and then water supply schemes. So if I give a breakup in this, so water supply scheme is that total amount is the order book is around 110 odd crores. That is Jal Jeevan mission. That is a rural mission basically. Apart from this, predominantly our order book is coming from this EPC of wastewater treatment plants, where our order book is somewhere to the tune of around 1350 odd crores. And then EPC for the CETPs, which is somewhere around 400 to 450 odd crores. So a part of HAM is there, so 300 crore is HAM. So this is basically the split over all the segment.
Okay, you said 300 crores is the EPC.
1350 is EPC of various sewage treatment plants or sewer schemes. 1350, 300 is HEM, 1650. Around this 350 or 400 odd crore is CETPs, and then around 110 odd crores is this Jal Jeevan Mission.
That adds up. That adds up. And in this, if effluent treatment, I've heard that effluent treatment, the CETP, is more margin lucrative because it's very complex compared to the municipal wastewater treatment projects. So why is that your order book is predominantly the wastewater treatment EPC rather than like an effluent treatment EPC?
Basically, if you see the entire market, it is basically that volume driven. The quantum of sewage, because that is dependent upon the population density anywhere. So since India is one of the most populated countries, so there is that level of sewage generation and then its treatment. So it is a huge volume there. So that is why the portion of sewage treatment plants that will always there. Definitely the technology, since it all depends upon the complexity. Higher the complexity, so there will be a slight angle of risk, or the number of players will also be lesser there, and the margins will be better. So CETPs will drive a better margin at all points, and then when we move to further value addition in terms of ZLD, so it will still have a better margin profile. So we always look forward to a better margin profile in terms of CETP or ZLD. That cannot constitute the entire order book of the company, but we definitely look forward to increasing the quantum of CETP or ZLDs as a part of that order book.
Okay, so you're saying that the zero liquid discharge, the demand is still uprising compared to, you got a huge demand on the wastewater treatment municipality sector. So that's why your order book and revenues is more concentrated on this side, right?
Yes, sewage treatment plant in itself, it is also technology driven to an extent, because in biological treatment, because in a sewage treatment plant, it is basically treatment of the organic waste. So that also derives that technology in terms of selection of the biological reactor, how it is going to be treated. And then secondly, as the size of the plant goes above 50 mld, then generation of biogas, installation of various equipments for generation of biogas, its recovery, and then means having a revenue stream from CBG or converting it into electricity, that also makes sense and means it becomes a value addition exercise again. So it becomes an addition revenue stream there.
Okay, this 2000 crore executable order book that you said, how much is to be recognized in the next, let's say this financial year as revenues?
First of all, the normal timeline for any of the project is generally around 24 months. So if you see the order book that we were carrying as on 1st of April 2025, so it was around 1185 crores. And then the orders which got added to it was around 1178 crores something. In Q1, no, first 4 months till 31st July. So basically the order book which we were carrying from the last financial year, so basically that is to be executed, almost 80% of the execution that will be done in the current financial year. And the order book which we have got in the current financial year, maybe somewhere around 50% of the work to be done in the current financial year. So basically when we calculate based on these order books and the orders that we do have in our hands, we can work out that growth rate of 35 to 40 odd percentage, that is possible. So we look forward to revenue recognition or a top line to the range of around 1450 to 1500 odd crores in the current financial year for FY26.
Wow. So the previous order book that you had when you were closing on 31st March 2025, that was around 1100 crores.
True.
And 50% that will be recognized this year. 80% will be of that will be recognized
this year, and the order book that we have recognized in the first 4 months, somewhere around 50% from those.
Okay, that adds up. 1500 crores revenue.
Yeah.
And last year you did around
1066. Yeah.
1066 crore revenue. 50%, 40% growth.
Yeah, this is what we are looking at, and that growth rate then seems to be possible. If you see in the last financial year, that means FY25. So it was election year, so at least till December there were not bids available for which we could have moved, submitted our bids. So from January, everything has got sorted out. The bids, the projects are coming up. There are a lot more bids which are available for bidding. We are submitting our bids, and then definitely, so it is the order books are getting approved. So there are still projects for which we have submitted our bids. We are looking forward for some more projects. For current financial year, we had pegged our order book to be in the range of 2,500 odd crores. 1,200 odd crore is what we have got. So we are still looking for another 1,300 odd crores, which we should get or we should beg in the current financial year further.
Understood. And when I look at your company and compare it with the others, like there is EMS, there is Warback Tech, there is this niche company called Tailor Made Renewables as well. Your margins are superior compared to them. You're doing like 25, 26, 27% EBITDA margins on a consistent basis, that too, irrespective of what the commodity prices are doing. Maybe because you are a contract with the client. So how is it that your margins are consistently higher despite you not owning any technology here?
First of all, basically, there are these technologies. When we talk about these are proven technologies. So, and new technology, whenever it comes, so it has to be proven first so that it can be generally accepted for various projects or various government projects which do come up. So all these technologies are accepted, and there is a CPHO manual where in the design guidelines these are always there. Now I talk about the revenue guidance. So basically it is the right improvisation of designs that we are able to do in our company. We are a 33-year-old company, and the start of the company was from this commissioning and operation and maintenance of common effluent treatment plants. So basically commissioning of an common effluent treatment plant and then its operation and maintenance. So both were means the toughest of the issues which I have handled right from the start. So that has given us the confidence in this particular sector in a span of this around 33 years, wherein my elder brother Mr. Sanjay Jain, who is looking after the entire design, so entire design team is reporting to him. So design is always at the core of the company. Along with the designs, we have also done the entire improvisation in terms of the execution of the projects. So that execution being done in-house with the entire machinery, wherein almost hiring is reduced to very minuscule. So there are different components where we keep on saving. So every small bit or a drop means ultimately that accumulates into means a bigger one. So our margins have been consistently around 22 to 24% and above in the past 4 5 years, and look forward to maintaining the similar type of margins.
Understood.
Our execution rate has always been good. Our quality of execution has been good. Our costings in terms of the timelines that have always been at a very efficient level. So this all gets transpired into having better margins, at least for our company, for us.
Understood. So I understand it's not more about your technological what you provide. It's saying that all the technology that has been tested through time, you bring it all together and help the client meet the requirement, and your value is in integrating all these technologies together and constructing it and finally delivering it with a great design.
That's true. I use this word of improvisation. Basically, there are different types. When I am designing, maybe in processes, then I am doing the improvisations. When I am selecting the equipments, I am going for a right selection. This is what I can say. When I am working on the plant efficiency level in terms of its recurring cost in when we are doing the operation and maintenance, so we are able to means refine all these aspects and give a most economical viable solution wherein we can also earn for our company, and then we can give the most economical viable designs to our client as well.
Got it. So just switching the topic, now what's happening is industrial clusters like MIDC and new industrial areas are now coming up with a mandate of treating the effluents in the site itself. So there's a lot of orders now being floated for ZLD, which is zero liquid discharge, and you even got an order of around 400 crores from MIDC itself. When this segment is growing and expanding, there are foreign competitors like Swiss and Veolia, which are large. It's like Veolia is like a $45 billion revenue company. Those companies are coming into India with amazing technologies. May that be reverse osmosis, may that be membrane bioreactor. So they're coming to India. How do you protect yourself from this competition, if at all?
right? Let me tell you, basically, if I talk about Suez, Veolia, and then other companies like DuPont, Hydronautics, basically, if you see, these companies do have their own technological advantages with them in terms of the manufacturing of various type of membranes. The type of membranes can be that MBR, that is a membrane biological reactor membrane. It can be SUF, nanofiltration, RO. So basically, they means they have these membrane manufacturing capabilities, and they are refining all this time and again. For my this project at MIDC itself, I shall be procuring the membranes from I maybe Veolia or all these companies only. So basically, it is based on the requirements, the input data that I do require. So based on that, we'll be freezing on the requirements or the type of membranes that we require for this particular system, and then we will move on. So basically, I never see a competition from all these, rather they are supporters, or they will give us the right technologies. I have to design my system, and I have to make the system capable to an extent so that the membranes, either this ultrafiltration, nanofiltration, or RO, these membranes can continue to function for a longer period, and the pre-treatment prior to all this, so it is not impacting these membranes. So this is what means, again it goes down to the technology and the designing. So basically, we are definitely looking for all this, and then we are looking for the inquiries from all these players, wherein we will be procuring the membranes from them.
Understood. So they supplement your company rather than compete with you directly.
That's
Right. And if you're so good at what you do, you command superior margins in the industry, you're going to grow at 40, 50%, maybe even for the next year. Why don't you go into the international markets? Africa is a place where water treatment is absolutely non-existent in many countries. So, and your competitors are going into international markets because they realize that government might be creating opportunities, but again, there's a problem in terms of receivables that they face with the government. So, why aren't you foraying into the private space, international market?
If you see the trajectory of the company for the past 5 years, we have grown 10x in past 5 years. So this entire growth has come from domestic segment itself. That growth of around 35 to 40 odd percentage looks to be possible from the domestic market. Now we are looking for the opportunities for us in the international market. Currently we are looking for some inquiries. Some inquiries were already there, for which we have already quoted. So we'll look forward to, and we'll definitely move.
Okay, great. And before I go into your working capital issues and the problems with the clients that you're fighting a case there, uh, what is that new solar thing you've taken about? Because from what I understand, you're acquiring a company that has a solar infrastructure, and which that company has a PPA with another company to supply power for 19, 20 years. How does it make sense on a margin wise on the working capital when your existing standalone business it's itself doing so well?
Let me make it clear first that the growth in the water and wastewater sector, which we anticipate at a level of 35 to 40 odd percentage for the next 5 years, so that growth is intact, and that growth will continue. So there is no hindrance at all, and there is no blockage or the requirement of funds. Exactly everything seems to be lined up at our end, and we are moving, just aligning with these targets with us. Now when we were looking forward to it, basically renewable is what we were doing for the past 3 4 years in our project itself. So the theme of this sustainability and waste to energy, this has always been a initiative which we have always looked forward to. So just to have a clear visibility on the business front, so we had gone for a 100% subsidiary of Enviro, so that the works or the revenues that we generate from the renewable sector, that will be separately and clearly visible. This is point number one. Then we moved ahead for purchasing two solar assets.
Okay.
One of the solar asset is at Bolangir. Basically, this is an asset of SL Infra. So SL Infra, basically they had gone into stress. This, for this particular project, a PCOD is already there. 24 megawatt is what has been already installed. A generation is coming for the past 4 5 years, and a revenue generation at a rate of 4.1 per unit. That is what is getting accrued in the company. So basically, the requirement was to enhance the capacity from this 24 megawatt to that intended level of 40 megawatt, for which this particular project is there. The purchase price of this, the PPA agreement what has been signed, is at 4.1 rupee per unit, and this PPA agreement is with SECI. So that gives a lot of support and the 100% guarantees, and the funds are moving smoothly. So when we look forward and we modeled this particular project, so we look forward that when we are enhancing the capacity of this particular plant from 24 megawatt to 40 megawatt, so basically at the EPC level we must have decent margins again with us, only then we are interested, other way around we will not move forward. So 18 to 20% was the EBITDA margin which we could look forward to easily. Based on that, we have done our financial modeling. And then secondly, on the SPV segment, so then when this recurring revenue is coming into the company, so we look forward to an IRR in the range of 13.5 to 14 odd percentage post tax. So both these give a comfort zone that this level of profitability can be possible from the renewable asset as well. This is one of the project. Then there is a second project of 29 megawatt in Maharashtra. So this project is from MSCDCL, wherein a state financial assistance of 3.2 crore per megawatt is there. So if I look forward to this SFA itself, so almost the entire costing for the project that gets covered. For 25 years, the per unit price is around 0.88 rupees per unit. So again, when we have done the modeling, this 18% odd EBITDA margins are possible, along with IRR at 13.5 to 14%. Now, looking forward to one new sector where parallelly we can grow in future, which is one of the biggest segments and growing exponentially in India. So the thought process was just, if we enter, we can do some good value addition. There is a lot of grid imbalancing which is available right now. So hybrid systems, hybrid renewable systems is what the demand is. So that's battery storage systems, wind energy coupled with battery storage along with solar. So basically these type of projects are coming in, and this will be the future. So we look forward to give some value addition to the particular segment, and then we will try to grow organically in that particular means renewable sector as well.
Okay. So despite the margins being lower than your existing business, IRR of 14%, this business makes sense to you in terms of like a larger group, part of a larger group company, because you want to be in different areas of that sustainable circular economy, green energy bit. Is that right?
That's true. Circular economy, green energy, basically that theme ESG is what we look forward to. We should be an ESG compliant. Sustainability is what is most important right now. So basically, when we are looking forward to a margin level, if I say EBITDA margin in the range of 18 to 20%, even in exactly how much return we are drawing, basically when we are entering in that particular segment, the turnout time in case of a renewable business, that is very fast in comparison to a water and wastewater business. So we need to correlate basically these two.
So your working capital is burgeoning in terms of the clients don't pay you for 90 odd days even after executing the project, while you're incurring the cost immediately. So despite you growing from a 1000 crore top line to a 1500 crore top line, there's a lot of money that is stuck with the government. And what I understand is that if it's railways, they have a very fast trade receivable cycle where government 30 days you'll get the money. But in terms of infra, in terms of water segment, in terms of waste treatment, circular economy, basically, governments delay a payment for a long time, and many companies eventually face issues and run into financial difficulties. So, despite government giving you an opportunity, it's also hurting you on the other side. So, what is your working capital requirements for the year? Do you have enough money to balance that? The reason I ask you is you reduce debt and your IPO is already done, where you've raised a substantial amount of money. So, what is your plan with the working capital?
First of all, if you see the growth of the company in the past 5 years, as I have confirmed and that is on record, company has grown 10x from 100 odd crores in 2020. So we are at 1066 crores. That entire growth has been, so there was no IPO, at least till that point of time. And this growth was basically through working capital and with the support and the liquidity which was available in the sector. First of all, if I say we need to prudently understand what is a right working capital cycle. Working capital cycle is not just that right on the day one we procure any material and it is available. Rather, we have to work on it. Then it is a WIP, a final conversion. There is a stage wherein we can bill it. There is a timeline which is spent during this measurement of the bills, recording of the bills. A pass order is placed, that then it enters the debtor cycle. So I will explain the entire process. First of all, when we purchase any of the raw material, there is an inventory day, right? So when it remains as a raw material in the company, then there is a conversion when something has acted on it and that raw material is being used, so it has becomes a WIP. It's a work in progress. So the work in progress as per the ICD guidelines is basically measured as the unbilled revenue in the books. So that unbilled revenue in itself says that the WIP and the profit which is added to that WIP, so that becomes the unbilled revenue. So there is a cycle of around 90 days when this remains in the unbilled, that WIP or the bill is being measured and that bill is being recorded and a pass order is being placed. So this entire cycle in itself is, you can say, 30 60 odd days for the WIP, for the conversion to WIP and to that particular stage, and then another 30 days for recording of the bill and then measurement and pass order of the bill. So it is a 90 days cycle, a prudent cycle of 90 days. 15 odd days for the inventory, that which is inventory day, and then another 45 odd days for which is debtor day, when the bill has been recognized and now the payment is to be released. What I can say is the payments are generally not getting delayed. So when this cycle is around 45 days wherein the bill has been measured and within 45 days and we are getting the funds from the government, so that cycle seems to be prudent enough. If I totally measure this cash conversion cycle, this comes out to be somewhere around 150 days. Now, for making the payments to our vendors, MSME vendors, we are required to make the payment within 45 odd days time, and to our non-MSME vendors within 60 to 90 days time as per the terms that are agreed. So the creditor cycle remains to be 60 days. So 150 minus 60 is a 90 days cycle. So first of all, when we need to understand, 90 days is a working capital cycle which is a prudent one. So there can be some positives or negatives, a payment getting delayed or a payment coming fast. So that cycle may get a bit skewed or may get a bit relaxed. So if that cycle means, it is a normal process. When I say if this cycle getting efficient by another 15 to 20 days time, so the cash flow, the OCF, that will turn positive, right? If you see the OCF cycle of the company for FY25, so we were OCF pre-tax positive. The figure that cash flow statement says that we are 48 crore negative. So that 48 crore negative is post tax. The total income tax component was around 70 crore for last financial year. We were OCF positive pre-tax by 25 crore, and if you see post tax, definitely it is this 48 crore negative. Now there is a point of reconciliation which is required further. There was an element or a payment which we received from our government department from JJM, which was in the first week of April. So I can basically say that payment was related to the month of March itself. It was a 70 crore odd payment which we received. So that 70 crore if added, so it will become post tax positive as well. Right, so that way means the process, there was an element of delay in JJM schemes till December, but December and onwards the things got sorted out to an extent, and then the this cycle that has also get relaxed a lot, and right now we can see that the liquidity in the entire segment, as I understand, is maintained. So the challenges are not that huge. In general, we are getting payments within the 45 days cycle, and that is comfortable enough for us. So maintaining a working capital cycle in the range of 90 days or maybe a slightly lower now seems to be possible. Our JGM segment is now quite small at around 100 odd crores. Apart from this, if I am talking about CETPs, basically these are industrial development corporations, so they do have their own funds available because they are sitting on the land banks. By selling the land, they are generating the funds. And from Namami Gange or various Amrut projects or the multilateral agencies projects, so basically the funds are tied up and funds are available in all these projects. If I talk about him, there is a financial closure which has to be done at our end as well, and then there is an escrow mechanism wherein the funds are always available. The moment that milestone is achieved, the funds are released. So that way, to our understanding, funds are not an issue. And if funds would have been an issue, then growing at a rate of around means 60-70% CAGR in the last 5 years would not have been possible. And look forward to that the funds are getting released timely.
So for growing at a 60-70%, you had the IPO and you had a lot of debt. But do you plan to do that same mechanism, maybe come through preferential rights issue, warrant issue, or raise debt to meet this growth rate?
Even the IPO funds are not fully utilized. The portion of the funds which were utilized at one point of time from the working capital, so there was a positive cash flow in the company. So they are again lying as unencumbered FDRs or funds parked. So basically, liquid funds are available with the company. The rating of the company has improved from A minus to A. Our working capital requirements, these are being met through 10 banks right now, and then we are going ahead for the enhancement. We look forward to our collateral and margins further coming down, so that encumbered FDR component in itself that seems to go down further. So this always create a positive cash flow in the entire system, and as of now we are sitting on a good cash flow with the company, and then definitely we are not looking for any further disinvestment in the company right now.
Okay, and the JJM that you mentioned is Jal Jeevan Mission, where government is focused on making sure 100% of India is able to have access to tap water.
Yeah,
right.
it's basically a rural mission where is the last household in the rural India.
Yeah.
So that is getting a tap connection and water is available in the moment.
Understood. So if a viewer 4 years later had to watch this video, they would see whatever you said, did that come to reality? And one question I want to ask you is, because it's a very government driven industry and your company is very dependent on that, what is a forecast that you're making for 3 or 4 years in terms of the industry? Like, would government face a lot of pressure in terms of budgetary allocation to this segment of yours, or will it be the next defense for in the next 3 or 5 years? You understand what I mean by the next defense, right? Where budget is being allocated, where there's a huge demand for companies like yours. You're flustered with a lot of projects. What is your prediction for the next 3 to 4 years?
First of all, if we see the various government schemes which came in the past and then the track record how the schemes moved. First of all, it was Amrut 1 mission. So the total budgetary outlay under Amrut 1 mission was 1 lakh crore. So the funding was from the center as well as state and ULBs. The entire mission has got concluded successfully. Namami Gange phase 1 was there. The total budgetary allocation was around 20,000 crore. Again, the mission is successfully completed. Based on that successful completions, the new missions, which is Namami Gange phase 2, Amrut 2, these have come up. Amrut 2 mission in itself is a 3 lakh crore mission. Then Namami Gange phase 2 came up. The total budgetary outlay for that mission is 11,500 odd crores. So basically, for when there is a budgetary outlay, so from the center, the funds are allocated yearly for all these schemes. As the Amrut 1 is moving, so under Amrut 2 for current financial year, a 10,000 crore central budgetary outlay has been there. Since 25% is what has to come from the center, so there are 75% or 30,000 odd crore. It is to be parked by states and ULBs combined. So the total budgetary outlay for under Amrut 2, we can peg it 48,000 odd crores for the current financial year. So when already a mission is moving and their government has envisaged that this is the requirement and water infra and sewage infra, this is to be upgraded and strengthened across all the cities. Right now, if you see even the major cities, Delhi in itself, Yamuna is highly polluted, Bangalore facing huge problems, Mumbai in itself is having challenges. So even the biggest of the cities are not comfortable right now and are having severe pollution issues with respect to both air and water. Water and wastewater is predominantly wherein we are available. There are timelines wherein NGT is also acting. So the timelines cannot be spilled over. If I say if there is any issue at any point of time wherein the central government is not in a position to fund, then I can say the other part of infrastructure can get a hit. But this wastewater, because water means the most essential of all, one cannot go down for this wastewater. If I see the COVID time also, so the moment the lockdown was opened, the first one to start out of all, I can say, is it was Amrut schemes. So labor was to be deployed, so work was to be given, that social responsibility was there. So Amrut got opened up the moment the lockdown was opened. So that ways we look forward to a level wherein this sector cannot be neglected at all. This is our understanding.
So you are basically predicting this sector will do very well.
It has done well for the past 8-10 years, and look forward to that this sector will continue to do good. It is the mandatory requirement for every citizen of India that a cleaner water and then clean rivers, it should be available. Water is a scarce commodity, and water has to be made available to each and every citizen of India. So that ways, and for the industrial growth in India as well, so water is required. So in any case, this requirement of water, that is increasing, and then treatment of this water and then final this further polishing in terms of its reuse, so it will gain momentum on a continuous basis.
My last question. If you look at the tier 1 cities, especially like Mumbai, if you get out of the Terminal 2 airport, just outside the parking, there's a huge puddle which looks like a river of untreated sewage slash wastewater with a lot of plastics in it. And that is a part of prestige. There's a prestigious project of Mumbai as a city, right? The airport, and Bangalore, similar is the case. Delhi, Gurgaon, the scene actually worsens. So, and when you compare it to countries that some people have not even heard of, like African countries, Rwanda, the cleanest city in the world after Singapore, and they have a policy that even the rainwater that is falling on the residential homes, it has to be collected and treated before it is discharged to the public, okay, discharged in the public area. Despite almost 100 years after independence, why is the percentage of water we're treating, municipality wastewater we're treating, is at like 30%, when developed countries, China, even some developing countries are doing 95, 90%, 85% treatment?
Basically, it goes on with the requirement. When there was a demand supply, at one point of time, the water was available, it was being exploited, misused, and then there is a level of pollution which has gone into all the rivers now in India. The problem has become just too acute, and then this treatment of wastewater, it has become predominantly important everywhere. So, as you rightly said, first of all, being all this sewage that was entering any of the river bodies, so first of all, this entire wastewater is to be treated so that at least the rivers are clean. So this is first point. So we have not even achieved that 100% treatment in totality. So first of all, across all the cities, tier 1, 2, 3. So this entire wastewater, sewage, whatever is getting generated, it needs to be treated. Then there will come a second point wherein reuse. There are a lot of water scarce areas in India. So when potable water is a challenge, making the water available to industry in itself, that becomes a bigger challenge. So there are various water policies which are coming up wherein only reuse of this wastewater that is gaining momentum. So basically now it is a growth phase. Then when we say it has become so important in India, so it is all because of this, that the untreated and the quantum which was entering into various rivers or water bodies. So basically this untreated wastewater entering into any of the water body was to be prevented. So that work is on. Basically that slowly it will grow. So when this growth is there on a continuous basis, so first of all the untreated wastewater will not enter, that will be intercepted, taken to the plant, treated. Then there will be a second point, whether to be discharged or whether to be reused. So this process will keep continuing and it will go on till we achieve a level wherein the rivers are clean, the water bodies seems to be good. Right now the rivers look just like a sewer or a drain.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what you're trying to say is all these years there was no focus, and now that industry is in growth mode because for some reason government said we need to focus on this. Okay, all right. Thank you so much, sir, for your time.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. Thank you.